Hey there, fellow bookworms, and welcome back to my channel. May has come and gone. It felt so quick, but it was a month full of bookish highs and lows and everything in between. I read a total of 17 books in May, so I felt it fitting to make a little reading recap here. So grab your favorite snack or drink and settle in so we can talk about all the books I read, loved, and even DNF'd this month. My first book of the month was Mastermind How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes by Maria Konnikova. And this is basically, as it says, this is how to think like Sherlock Holmes. It is how to focus on getting that mindset that Sherlock Holmes has. This was my nonfiction book of the month and the book that I annotated for the month on my goals. And yeah, this is my first read. I gave this book a 3-star rating. I've always been really fascinated by Sherlock Holmes' character and his way of thinking, so I really wanted to get into his mindset. I wanted to love this book. I just didn't end up enjoying it as much as I hoped I would. It's a little repetitive in its nature, and I personally am just not a fan of a nonfiction book that drones on and on about the same thing. I liked when they broke down like a scene of the original novels and how he got to that conclusion and his way of thinking through that. But there was a lot of experiments and other studies and whatnot, and I think those are important to note. I just felt like it made it a little dull and it didn't add to the message or the point of what they were trying to get at here, at least to me. And that's just a personal preference, but I just ended up feeling a little bored by this one. Overall, I do think this book gives some good advice and tips on how to think like Sherlock Holmes. It just didn't appeal to me in my reading style. My next read was Never Run from an Immortal from Victoria J. Price. This is an ARC I received off of NetGalley, and it's about vampires and witches, and it's a pretty modernized world that contains both of them. I was a little weary about this ARC because I've never been into vampires. During the whole Twilight craze and all of that, I just did not enjoy any of it. So I didn't know if I was gonna like this, but the plot line really intrigued me, so I was like, I'm gonna give it a try and see what if I do. I ended up giving this book a 4.5-star rating, and I do genuinely think there was a lot to enjoy about it. The plot was always moving and it was intriguing and tense. The characters, I actually liked them more than I thought I would. They were a little less stereotypical to me, but again, I don't read much of these, so take that as you will. I knocked it down a few points specifically because I felt like the female main character was a little over-sexualized in my opinion. It's a smutty book. If you know me, I don't really typically read smutty books, and I typically try to skip or skim past the scenes that have smut. I will say at least this one felt useful to the plot because it felt like it was showcasing the growing vulnerability between our two main characters. So it had elements I did not like, but overall I felt like it was a really good book and I would recommend it. Then of course I have my poetry book of the month, which I chose Four-Legged Girl by Diane Seuss. I gave this poetry book a 2-star rating, and that is just a personal preference because I really do feel like she uses really great lyricism and other elements that I felt I would really be entranced by in poetry, as I always am. But it's based in like 1970s New York City, with the junkie era, and I just felt like I couldn't connect to it very well. I think it's one of those you had to be there moments. I thought that it was still pretty. I just don't feel like I understood the emotional depth behind it because I don't know a lot about that. I'm not connected to that in any way. So that was a 2-star rating for me. My next read was a highly anticipated one, and that is Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. I have been wanting to get my hands on this book for so long. Ever since one of my darling bookish friends posted a review about it, I just knew I had to read it. This is about Clarion from the Pixie Hollows Disney Fairies series stuff, if you've ever watched any of those. And I love Disney, so I wanted to read this one. I rated this one a 4.75-star rating. There was genuinely so much to love about it, and it felt like I was being transported into a Disney movie while I was reading it. I loved it. The pace was great. The characters were interesting. I'm not really sure how to explain why it's not exactly a 5-star, other than it just didn't give me the feeling I get when I read a 5-star rating book. And that's all it really is I just didn't feel that emotional connection enough to get that, and I still would recommend it. It was a good book. My next book up was the third book in the Night in the Moon series by Piper C.J., and that is The Gloom Between the Stars. If you've seen my other Instagram posts, you've probably seen me raving about the first 2 books. I love them so much. The series follows a set of girls, these 2 girls who grow up in an orphanage together, very close together, and they get separated, they discover their powers, and they find their way back to each other as new people. It's a really beautiful storyline, and I think it was always very intriguing to me. I did not enjoy this one very much. I really thought I would be obsessed with this whole series. I thought I was going to love every single one of it. This book I gave a 2.5 star rating, and it is the last one I will be reading of this series. I am DNFing the series. There is a lot I could say about why I'm DNFing this book, but I'm going to limit it to the 2 main reasons. One, the main characters are becoming a little insufferable to me. I really adored them, but they're just growing to be a little annoying. Also, it's become really cyclical, the way that they get separated emotionally or physically and then brought back together, and it's like really dull to me that it's just the same thing happening in each book. Obviously there's other plot lines and other things going on, but I just don't like when they keep reusing the same thing. The second one, there is essentially a character that is a racist with the like purist mentality, that I feel shows no proper growth or things, but she still gets brought into the group and like forgiven, and to me it just kind of gave me the ick, so that was like a no for me. I didn't like it very much, so I'm not continuing. Around this time, I tried to review or read another arc that I had received from NetGalley. I'm not going to list it here because I don't want to give any negative press to any starting books. I think it is their debut novel, and I just wouldn't want to do that to an author. I DNF'd this book, and that was entirely personal preference. To me, the book had started me immediately in the action of thing with no world building or build up to what's happening, and that to me just kind of disconnected me from it a little too much. It also moved really fast. Like by the end of like I think the 3rd chapter, the 2 main characters were like instantly in love, and it just both overwhelmed me with everything going on and underwhelmed me because there was like nothing to look forward to since I already kind of knew what's happening. Yeah, that was just a personal preference probably. I thought I was going to like it because it's by a publisher that I had previously reviewed book arcs from them for, and I liked their stuff. So I knew it was a genre that I don't typically read. I just kind of wanted to try it, and it didn't work out, and that's okay. That happens. So that one's no. My next read was also an arc from NetGalley, and that is Lessons from Cats for Surviving Fascism by Stuart Reynolds. This was a cute and fun little read about how a cat would deal with a fascist society, including things like knowing where to strike and rejecting callers and different cute little things. I gave this book a 5-star rating. I didn't think that this one was repetitive at all. It was a very creative take on it. It was unique and fun. It actually made me laugh a lot. It made me smile a lot. It made me feel empowered. I love this one. It was a fun way to approach these situations, and I would definitely recommend it. I love that one. Yeah. Next up was a graphic novel arc I received from NetGalley, and that is Muted Volume 2 from Miranda Munt. And I loved Volume 1 so much that I instantly went to request Volume 2, and I was lucky enough to receive it, so thank you, NetGalley, for that. It is a fun graphic novel about witches. It is both cozy and sometimes tense. It's a little dramatic, but it's fun. It's cute. I loved it. It's full of beautiful artistry. I would definitely recommend you check it out. I gave this read a 4.75 star rating. I loved seeing Camille's growth in this volume. This world that they are creating feels so expansive, and I'm so excited to see where this story will go. I'm going to request volume 3 as soon as it's available on there, or pre-order it if it's not. But I just love this world. It's a comfort read for me, really, because every time I read it, I just feel like I'm bundling up in blankets and just getting cozy. So I love this one, and I would definitely recommend it. My next read was another graphic novel arc from NetGalley, and that is The Lost Sunday by Ilyana Serdukan. It is a cute little novel about preventing burnout. I gave this one a 5-star read because it is such a beautiful message, and it was so well done. I really think more people should read it because I do think it's so important to take care of ourselves, and a lot of us just tend to neglect that. It made me really try to implement more self-care into my days, not stressing myself out, not getting burnout, and I loved it. It was short and quick. I loved how they weaved literature, like older literature, into it, and then at the end they kind of explained their influences for that. So yeah, all in all, it was a really good read, and an important one at that. So yeah, I liked it. My next read was A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. And I found this gorgeous first edition at my local used bookstore, and I knew I had to have it. It's signed. It's so pretty, with sprayed edges and everything. And the book is about literature, those who write it, truth and legacy, and honestly so much more. It was a beautiful book. I gave this book a 5-star rating. I will say in the first few chapters I was a little bored, and I was genuinely debating DNFing it, but I'm so glad I stuck it out, because the characters are so interesting. The plot is so interesting. I love this like parallel that's drawn between this fairy tale we're reading in like little clips of it and then their actual story going on here. It was so beautiful, and it has such great messages to it. I would absolutely recommend this book. It was going to be my book of the month before I read a different book, so I just really love this one. It's great inside and out, and I want you to read it. Thanks. Next up, I wanted to read my Fairy Loot YA. I think this is March's book, and this is Where Shadows Meet by Patrice Caldwell. I was still on my vampire kick from Never Run from an Immortal, so I wanted to dive into this as soon as possible. It is a gorgeous lore-heavy book about gods, goddesses, vampires, seers, so many different things, and it's really a lot of creation stories to it. It's very lore heavy. This book was a 3-star rating for me. I really wanted to love it. I love lore heavy books, but the writing style didn't appeal to me, and I just felt like the author had so much they wanted to say in terms of lore that I feel like the book got bogged down with descriptions instead of any real move to the plot, no action, dialogue, none of that. And overall, it just kind of bored me with all of that. I love lore, but I want there to still be story going on. You know what I'm saying? So this one was a 3. I'm probably not going to continue the series. Next up was another Fairy Loot YA book, and that is The Glittering Edge by Alyssa Valere. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And this one is a book set in a small town with 2 rival families, one where they are banned from their magic as witches, and the other one is they were cursed by one of those previous witches to never be able to fall in love, and if they fall in love, that person that they love dies. And our main character, Penny, is not from either of these 2 families, but her mother is the latest victim of the curse, as one of the characters from the other family has fallen in love with her mother, and so Penny needs to save her mother by figuring out this curse and solving it. I gave this book a 5-star rating. It kept me very intrigued. I was giggling and kicking my feet, and then other times I was annoyed and angry. All in all, it was a amazing book. It is gorgeous, this edition. I was worried when I picked it up that it was going to be a little too teeny because it has these text exchanges, but I ended up looking forward to that actually because the characters are so witty and funny that it's so fun to see what they're saying. I wanted that dialogue and those text exchanges. I wish I could stay with these characters a little longer, so I am going to read book 2 of the series because it was just so good and I would recommend it. Next up is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. I don't know how to pronounce it. This was my book of the month. It is a 2010s dystopian novel about a girl whose touch is lethal. We start with her in this like asylum/prison in isolation, and as we hear her inner dialogue, we grow to understand how she got here and what the reestablishment wants from her, all these other things. And that's this one. Obviously, being my book of the month, I gave this one a 5-star rating. I honestly like inhaled this book. I didn't want to set it down at all. I think our main character is super interesting in this one because since she's in isolation for a long period of time, she's kind of an unreliable narrator. It makes you have to like think about whether what she's saying is true. It was really, really intriguing, and I immediately went to go buy the novellas because I wanted to read the series in order. So I love this one and would absolutely recommend it. My next read was another arc off of NetGalley, and that is Automatic Noodle by Anal Newitz. I hope I'm saying that one right as well. This is a book where California has split from the USA. It is set a little bit more futuristic, and there are these sentient robots called HEEI, I think. And this group of robots wakes months after their restaurant has shut down to find that the human owners have fled for crimes. And so they decide to keep their bills paid. They were going to open a noodle shop. And yeah, that's what it follows. All in all, this book seemed right up my alley. I did end up giving it a 2.5 star, and I will explain why. This book is short with a lot of commentary about government, immigration, technology, all these other things, and I felt like the message was really great, and the way of conveying that message was very original. My rating comes entirely from personal preference. I've never really been into sci-fi books, and this book kind of explained why to me. This was marketed as a cozy sci-fi book, and I had gone into it with different expectations, but I felt really bogged down by these sci-fi descriptors like constantly, that I just felt uninterested but also confused. Like I was trying to understand, but I couldn't connect to that. On top of that, I felt like this message was really great, but I felt like it was rushed because of its short length. Whereas I felt like if they had expanded a little bit more, it could have had a really great impact on me. Not that it didn't have an impact on me, it just felt like they missed an opportunity, if that makes sense. And that's all personal preference. So I still think it's a great book, and I would absolutely recommend it to others. It wasn't for me, that's all. As I said with Shatter Me, I immediately went to go buy the novellas. So next up, I read Destroy Me in the series, the first novella, and that is from Warner's perspective. I would say like a little bit before the end of Shatter Me and a little bit into the beginning of the next one. I gave Destroy Me a 4-star rating. I honestly liked it a lot. I don't have a lot of experiences with novellas, but from the ones that I have read, to me they always felt like a little incomplete and lacking plot. I felt like this one did have plot. I felt like this one did have a lot more perspective that helped me understand the character. It was a really great way of adding something in between these two books, the Shatter Me and the next in the series, and I just really loved that one. I didn't give it a full star rating because I was missing the main character a little bit, and I also just, I don't know, it still felt like it was a novella, which is normal because it's a novella. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with novellas. I just don't think I like novellas very much in general. But I still enjoyed this one. It's just I would have rather read a whole book from his perspective. Then I went to read Unravel Me, and I gave this one a 4-star as well. I don't know what all I can say without spoiling things, but I didn't give it a 5-star. I still loved it. I just felt like Juliet, our main character, kind of backtracked on her progress a little bit, and that was irritating to me. I hope in the third book she's stronger and more powerful and confident in herself, but we'll see. And I also felt like I was really missing Warner's character. In the first book, he really added a sense of tension and like drama to it, and he was gone for a good portion of this book, and then when he did show up, he felt like entirely changed. Like that tension was still gone, because he was like not as crazy. So a 4-star for me. I still am gonna read the rest of the series. I still love it. I just didn't feel like this book was what was keeping me entranced like the first book did. Next up would be Fracture Me, the second novella in this book, and I gave that a 4-star rating. I just don't like Adam very much. I will say that. I love that it still added a good perspective to what was going on at the end of the second book and into the next book, but I thought it was interesting. I just didn't like him and seeing his perspective. It also changes the writing style a bit because it's from his perspective and he's a little bit more sane than our other two characters. It was okay. It's still good. I like this series. So this is my second DNF of the month, and that is Gifted and Talented by Olivia Blake. I wanted to love this book. I got it from Fairy Loot, the adult book box. I just didn't. I DNF'd it about 5 chapters in because it just wasn't hooking me. And I didn't think this book was going to be up my alley anyways, but I was a little disappointed that I got a book for my first month of Fairy Loot and I did not enjoy it. But I'm going to maybe give this to my used bookstore or post it on Pango or even do a giveaway. I'm not sure what I'll do with it yet, but I'm not going to keep it is what I'm saying, because I think that this would be great in someone else's collection who would actually love it. So I'm not sure what I'll do yet. My last book of the month was another graphic novel arc from NetGalley, and that is Angelica and the Bear Prince. And I'm sorry if I butcher this name, but it's Trung Le Nguyen, I think, who's the author. And it is such a fun, complete little story. It is cute. It is cozy. It follows this girl who's been exchanging texts with this bear mascot character. And I don't know, it was cute. I loved it. It's a complete story, which I also loved because I don't usually encounter graphic novels that are like not in a series. At least from what I read, I know they exist, but I love that this was a complete story is what I'm saying. This was definitely made for a younger audience, but it has so much heart in it. It has such a diverse cast of characters, and it was really beautifully done. I gave this a 4-star rating only because I didn't feel like the correct audience for it. I didn't connect to it as deeply as I feel like most would. Not most, but the people in the right audience would. And so to me it was a 4-star, but I still think that this would be a 5-star book in itself for other audiences. And that is all the books I read this month. 17 books total plus 2 DNFs that I'm offloading. In addition to books read, I also went out with these 2 bookish girls I met on Instagram, on Bookstagram, to check out a new book boutique in my city, and it was so cute. It was a romance one, which I don't really read romance, but it had other things like fantasy and stuff. What I really liked is that it had all these stickers, pins, other things that I don't typically see as well, like book covers and Kindle inserts, and I loved looking at all their stuff. I wish more bookstores had those things. So it was fun. We also went to grab coffee after and chat. I'm so happy to go out with some bookish people this month. And then I bought 5 books this month, and these 2 are from Target, Bride and Exquisite Ruin, and I have not read either of them obviously yet, but I bought both of these, excited to read them. This one I got from the romance bookstore, and that is Meet Me in Another Life, and I don't really know much about it, but they had this like DNF section where you put books that you DNF'd and people can come grab them, and it was $0 because that's their section, but I loved looking at it, and technically I guess I didn't buy it, but I put it in my collection, and I figured I'd give it a shot because I don't read romance, but it looked interesting, so yeah. And then these 2 I got from my used bookstore. It's For the Wolf. I've seen a lot about this one, so I wanted to give it a read. And then it's a collection of Emily Dickinson poems. I took off the cover because it was really ugly and dirty, so now it's just this pretty white thing with the pink text. So I'm excited for this one as well because I love Emily Dickinson. And that's a wrap on my May month. It was a really great month. I got a lot off of my physical TBR. I'm very happy with how this month went. Let me know in the comments what your favorite book of the month was, or what you're planning to read in June. I love hearing from you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell so we can keep having more bookish chats. Until next time, stay cozy, keep reading, and take care of yourself. Stop singing. I'm gonna start again because I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Hey there, fellow book You know what they don't show you when you're making YouTube videos is how much anxiety you have just filming yourself. First up was